What if the next energy revolution isn't wind or solar, but a forgotten element China just brought back, and it could change the world forever? Today, we dive into China's bold move that could rewrite the future of clean energy, global power, and the nuclear industry as we know it.
Since the world first learned to split the atom, nuclear energy has been a source of immense hope and of lingering fear. But what if a new approach to nuclear energy came along and changed the game? What if, not by magic or by miracle, but by straightforward nuclear physics?
In the race for clean, safe, and sustainable energy, a groundbreaking moment just occurred. A moment that could change the future of nuclear power forever. In an era where the world faces an energy crisis and climate change challenges, one country has made an unexpected leap into the future of nuclear energy. What if I told you that China has just launched the world's first ever thorium-powered nuclear reactor, 80 years after the US first began exploring this possibility? Could this be the next big step in the quest for energy independence? And what does it mean for the future of the nuclear industry? For decades, thorium nuclear reactors have been the stuff of scientific dreamers, a cleaner, safer, and more sustainable alternative to traditional uranium reactors. And while the idea has been around since the 1940s, the technology never made it out of the lab until now. In 2021, China took the world by surprise when it successfully launched the thorium molten salt reactor at its Jiapu nuclear facility. This reactor, known as the TMSRLF-1, represents a monumental step in nuclear technology, potentially revolutionizing how we generate power in the coming decades. The story of thorium as a potential energy source dates back to the 1940s. Scientists in the US and around the world were aware of thorium's potential as an alternative nuclear fuel. Unlike uranium, thorium is more abundant, less radioactive, and produces significantly less nuclear waste. It's the ideal candidate for a cleaner nuclear future. So why haven't we seen it take off? The answer lies in the sheer complexity of the technology. Developing a functioning thorium reactor requires overcoming significant engineering challenges. While uranium reactors were quickly developed after World War II, thorium reactors faced delays due to these technical hurdles, a lack of funding, and the fact that uranium became the go-to fuel due to its easier-to-harness characteristics. Yet China's decision to pursue thorium as a primary fuel source for nuclear energy could change everything. China's thorium reactor, the TMSRLF-1, is a proof of concept that demonstrates the viability of thorium as a sustainable nuclear fuel.
Why nuclear energy? Especially after what happened in Japan. And why molten salt reactor? And why thorium? % financed by our central government. China, as of today, is the second largest economy in the world. In the next few decades, China will add even more GDP in the world economy.
What makes this reactor stand out is not just the use of thorium, but its design. The molten salt reactor uses a liquid mixture of thorium and salt to create energy, a process that is much safer and more efficient than traditional uranium reactors. In traditional nuclear reactors, water is used to cool the reactor and maintain temperature control. However, water can turn into steam and cause dangerous pressure buildup, as seen in accidents like Chernobyl and Fukushima. The molten salt reactor, on the other hand, uses liquid salt as a coolant, which has a much higher boiling point, making it far less likely to overheat and cause catastrophic failures. Furthermore, molten salt reactors can operate at much higher temperatures, improving efficiency and making them more adaptable to various power systems, including electricity generation and desalination. The use of thorium also means that the reactor produces far less waste than uranium reactors, and the waste it does produce is less harmful and decays more quickly. Now, you might be wondering, why is this so significant? For decades, nuclear power has been the subject of fierce debate. The potential for catastrophic accidents, waste disposal problems, and the threat of nuclear weapons proliferation have kept many countries hesitant about embracing nuclear energy on a large scale. But thorium reactors could solve many of these problems. Not only are they much safer and produce less waste, but thorium itself is far more abundant and accessible than uranium. This could provide nations with a nearly endless supply of energy. In fact, the United States, despite pioneering thorium research in the 1940s, hasn't made much progress with the technology, largely due to a shift in focus to uranium reactors during the Cold War era. While small-scale experiments were conducted, the U.S. never developed a full-scale thorium reactor. This is where China has now taken the lead. But what does this mean for the global energy market? If thorium reactors become a viable energy source, countries around the world could see a drastic reduction in their dependence on fossil fuels. Nations with limited access to uranium could potentially harness thorium's abundant supply, ensuring more sustainable energy solutions. Moreover, as climate change accelerates, countries may be more inclined to adopt thorium reactors due to their lower environmental impact. China's leadership in thorium nuclear power could shift the geopolitical balance of power. The country is already a global leader in renewable energy, and with thorium reactors, it could become the dominant force in clean nuclear energy. This would allow China to expand its influence in regions like Africa and Southeast Asia, where energy access is limited and demand is growing. But the implications aren't just political, they're economic. If thorium technology becomes scalable, we could see massive shifts in the global economy. China's lead in thorium research could spark a new energy boom, leading to new industries and job creation, all while tackling climate change in a way that's safer, cleaner, and more sustainable than ever before. Still, there are challenges ahead. Although China's successful demonstration of the TMSR LF1 is promising, scaling the technology is no small feat. Other countries, like India and the US, are also researching thorium reactors, and there's no guarantee that China's lead will last. Additionally, as with all nuclear technology, regulatory, safety, and political hurdles will need to be overcome before thorium reactors can be deployed at a global scale. But as of today, China has cemented itself as the leader in this field, leaving behind decades of hesitation and research. The development of the world's first thorium reactor is not just a scientific achievement. It's a turning point in the quest for sustainable energy. The world is watching as China pushes the boundaries of nuclear technology. Will thorium reactors become the future of clean energy? And will the rest of the world follow in China's footsteps? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. The launch of China's thorium reactor is a step toward a new era of nuclear power. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay connected with the channel for more amazing content.